This is my all-time favorite. It's called the Northwoods Maple Mold. And so obviously it looks like a giant maple leaf. You get some really beautiful pieces out of here. I'll show you some of the photos. I'm in love with this mold. These colors are really vibrant, so that's up to you. But the texture in the mold is beautiful. Really gives you a really cool piece. These pieces I slumped in a Bullseye ball surface mold, and then I put little rubber feet on the bottom of them so that they'd stand up as little candy dishes. I just love these pieces. Okay, so on the mold weight is 775 grams. The fill weight that's recommended by the manufacturer is 300 to 320 grams. I do mine with a combination of glass powders and fine frit. And honestly, the reason I do that is because I just happen to have a lot of glass powder. I bought a bunch of used equipment from a woman. She sold me a whole bunch of her glass powders, and I just don't use them that often. And so I find that they give the colors that I use are really bright and vibrant with this leaf, as you just saw in the photos. Excuse me. But doing a whole leaf of powders is a lot of powder, and I just don't feel like that's necessary. So what you'll see is that I put a layer of powder, excuse me, I got the hiccups. I put a layer of powder down first, and then I fill that up with clear frit to give me clear fine frit to give me the weight that I need on the fill weight on this. I treat it with zip. I'm very careful with this mold to not rough up that zip, because one, I don't want it to appear in my final glass piece. So I'm very, very careful when I'm moving powders around. And then two, I don't want to have to reapply the zip all the time. So I can get several firings out of a mold like this without reapplying if I'm very careful with it. So I always mask up, of course. So make sure that you're wearing proper equipment when you're working with powders. And I'm just going to, what you're going to see, I'm going to turn this on fast time here, but what you're going to see is I'm just going to use a variety of different colors and kind of lay down a pattern of powdered frit. Okay, so you saw me lay down a layer of powders. Now, there's some powder on the edges here. Do you see this? And that's gonna fuse and create huge spikes and be very hurty, as my kids like to say. So I'm gonna clean that up, but I hesitate to use a brush to try to brush that powder in, because what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lift up the zip from the sides, and I'm gonna pull that zip into my glass, and I'm gonna create white foggy glass, and it's ugly. So there's probably other ways to do this. Well, one would be to brush out, so that's clearly an option. The other one is, here's a little weird tip, an ear wax vacuum. So this is the most bizarre little contraption, but I bought it on Amazon, an earwax vacuum, and it has these little rubber tips. And so if I turn it on, you'll probably hardly hear it. Can you hear that? Probably not. It's got a little fan and it's sucking. And so what you can do is lay it on here, and it's sucking up that powder frit like a tiny little vacuum. Isn't that fun? So that's another way, if you want to use the tool like this, that's another way that you could consider. Can you see that? I'll zoom in here. So you see I can get a pretty fine line around the edge of that leaf by using this little vacuum. Kind of a crazy little thing. I saw this online. This was not my idea. Somebody, one of the geniuses in the Facebook realm, posted this. It was kind of a fun little thing. And so you get a nice clean line without risking getting any of that zip into your piece. And then the front just pops off and you can dump this out, because obviously I'm mixing colors here and I'm gonna have zip in here most likely, and that won't be good, but you can just rinse this out or dump it and you're good to go. So that's that little tip. Now here's what I'm gonna do next. I'm gonna finish cleaning this up, and then I'm gonna go over to my scale and I'm gonna weigh this. to find out what is the value of the powder that I've already placed into here. If I want to get a fill weight of 300 to 320 grams, I'll subtract out the powder. My guess is this is going to be about 80 grams of powder or so. Subtract that out, and then I know how much clear frit I need to put in to kind of give me the proper fill. So I'm going to finish cleaning this up. I'm going to go weigh it, and then I'll come back and fill it with clear frit. Okay, I went and weighed it, and it is 65 grams of frit. And so if I'm doing my math super quick on the fly, that means I need 230 grams of clear fine frit, which is what I'm going to use over the top of this. Okay, I have my 235 grams of frit. Honestly, it was 240, but that's fine because I'm looking for a fill weight of 300 to 320. So now I'm just going to use this little plastic cup, but what that does is allows me to get a little bit more detailed into the corners of this, not corners, points, I should say, of this maple leaf. Just gives me a little more precision. So what I'm doing is I'm going around and kind of hitting the points of the leaf all the way around. While I'm doing this, I hope that you enjoy my videos. If this is the first one you've seen, I encourage you to go back and watch some of the others. So I don't teach glass. I don't consider myself a teacher. What I'm doing is I'm learning, because I've only been doing this about 2 years. So I'm learning in my garage. You can hear the fan running in the background because it's still hot here in Texas. I'm learning in my garage how to do glass, and I'm bringing you along on the learning journey. So if you like this video and want others, I encourage you to subscribe to my YouTube page. I don't get paid for these. I'm just trying to, like I said, bring you along in the journey. So I would invite you to subscribe. I learn a lot of what I'm doing through observing others. So I watch YouTube videos myself. I'm a big fan of Glass Hoppa and Susan McGarry and some others. Tabitha. Thank you, Tabitha, for all you do for the community. I really love it. So I just thought I would contribute in my own little way. Honestly, if you go back and watch some of my videos, a lot of them include mistakes. And so that's part of it though, right? I'm learning and we all learn together. So I would encourage you to watch them, share them, put them out on Facebook if you know people that might enjoy them. I don't get paid for it. I don't have enough YouTube subscribers or views to actually get any kind of payment for it. Just trying to share the love. Okay, so now I filled this up, and I'm just smoothing it out ever so slightly. Maybe just give it a little bump, kind of help everything settle in a little bit. And that's it. Now I'm gonna go fire it. I'll post the firing schedule below. Okay, super quick video here. I pulled him out of the mold and he looks great. So lots of bright, beautiful color. There was a little bit of, zip powder that comes out of the mold that was on here. So I just did a very quick wipe down of this. And so there are some little areas here where I need to go with the grinder. I've got a grinder tip. I can just knock off some of those little spikes. I've got a little spike here. If it's a hard to reach area, sometimes you could use, I've got these little diamond files, so you could use a little diamond file to get in if your grinder can't quite get in. But I would much rather go to the grinder or do a little bit of cleanup on some of these spikes that can be caused than, as I said in the earlier version, if you're using your brush or something to sweep a lot of that back in, then you're going to potentially dust up that zip and put it back into the leaf itself, and you don't want that. So I would much rather clean this up with a little bit of cold working on the back end. And just FYI, this is what the back looks like. So very pleased with this look. I like the color pattern, and now I'm going to slump this in a Bullseye ball surface mold. I pulled this out of the kiln, and here's the finished product. I'm very pleased with this. So I've got a nice, I put it in that Bullseye ball mold. I got a nice little circular slump to that. If you're familiar with those ball molds, there's no flat bottom to it, so I like to put little nubs on the bottom, these little plastic nubs. It just gives it a nice solid feeling when you're setting it down. So, you know, one of the tips that I would have for you on these things is look up the project sheets and just kind of follow the directions. There was nothing too magical about this. I think color choices make a big difference. Taking your time, using the right firing schedules, paying attention to what you're doing, and you turn out some really beautiful work like this. So thank you very much. Hope everybody enjoys learning this. Please, again, follow me and for more videos. Thank you.